Today we're going into a mine that was working in the 1900s. And I'm going to show you the tools and tell you about the hardships that the miners worked under. You also saw the simulator, you also saw the pre-show, so you're going to have an idea of what I'm talking about. Well, I wasn't around in the 1900s, so I'm going to tell you some of the years I worked in most modern day mines. If you had a chance to walk around the yard, you would have noticed a big steel green cage in the corner of the field. That cage is an elevator, but that elevator does not have any doors onto it. You and 30 men would step into that cage and you would go down 800 feet. The only thing to stop you from falling out was a steel bar no bigger than this one across the front and one went across the back. When it wasn't used for hoisting men in and out of the mines, it was used for hoisting coal cars, and that is why there's no doors. It takes 7 minutes to get to the pit bottom. Once you get to the pit bottom, you're going to exit the cage, come out to a big open area called the motor road, main transportation system in the mine. You're going to find what is called a break box. We have one on the other side of the door, and I'll show them to you. You're going to be pulled 20 boxes are coupled together. You're going to fill them up, and you're going to be pulled by the electric motor 6.5 miles out under the ocean. It takes 45 minutes to get there. Enjoy the ride, because you are getting paid from the time you leave the surface to the time you come back. You can eat, sleep, play cards, nobody will bother you. Once that comes to a stop, you got to get out and transfer over into another rate box. We have one of them on the other side of the door. This time it's 20 wooden boxes, and your last box is going to have a steel cable rope, 1 1/4 attached to it, and that's what's going to hold that right back. You're going down 11,000 feet on a 17-degree angle to what I call the bowels of the earth. Hot, dark, dirty, and dangerous. The coal mine has 3 real fears. His first fear is methane gas. Methane gas has killed more miners than any other known cause. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and you can't taste it, but it's always present in the mine. 90% of the time, the methane gas is trapped behind the coal. It's when you remove the coal, that's when methane gas seeps out into the atmosphere. Your second fear would be a fire. 6.5 miles out under the ocean, now you're 2,700 feet under the ocean floor. If you smell smoke, you got a relatively short period of time to try to navigate through many of the tunnels down there to come out on the other side of that fire into fresh air, or you're going to perish. Third fear is called black lung. 20 to 30 years of working in the coal mine, you will breathe in that coal dust. Black lung was not recognized as an occupational health disease until 1968, when we started demanding all former miners, when they died, have autopsies done. Once they started performing the autopsies, they could deny that black lung did not exist. And you had black lung or symptoms of it, and you went to the coal company doctor, complained about spitting up blood, can't breathe. He'd look at you and say, no, you didn't get that here. These coal companies that ran these places are capitalist swine, I'll tell you that. Your hardship, pain, suffering meant nothing to them. Almighty dollar is all they counted on. And this is how the miners work. But we don't have any coal mines left. Erasmus closed in the year 2001. But today I'm going to take you into a mine like I told you that was working in the 1900s. But how did this all get started? You saw the pre-show. You saw how the British come over and put the run on the French and they took over the mines. They wanted to mine coal. They went to the provincial government and said, listen guys, we're entrepreneurs. We want to open some coal mines. Our government said, that's a good idea. You make money, we'll make some money off the revenue of the coal. They were getting a 99-year lease as the only ones able to mine coal here in Cape Breton. So they started opening some coal mines. I come from the town of Dominion, 4 miles from here. Dominion and Waterford and Glace Bay are all mining towns, and we're 4 miles apart from one another. And every town had its own coal mine. That's a picture right there of what a coal mine would look like in every town. That's all the structure, that's exactly what it looked like. And by the way, while you're looking back there, that mural you see all the pit horses? I'll talk about them when we get underground. They just come up with a ground fortification. So they started up some coal mines out on the coastline. The mine we're going into right now, the coal seam comes straight to the surface. So back in those days, you didn't have to go far to find coal, 20, 30 feet. So they started opening coal mines out along the coastline. Within 3 months, the population of the Dominion Bay went from 600 to 3,000. People were coming from everywhere. If you live in Cape Breton in the early 1900s, there are 3 professions. You're either a fisherman, a farmer, or a miner. A lot of farmers weren't having good crops, fishermen were not having a good day, so they went to work in a coal mine. And the coal company were kind of surprised to see how many men wanted to work in a mine. So all of a sudden, they had to start building company homes to house them, launch plants. At the end of it, they ended up building hospitals and schools. And by the middle of the First World War, there was 16,000 miners here in Glace Bay. Then the miners stopped coming. There was none left, but there's still lots of coal here. So the coal company officials sent its officials overseas to Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Austria, Ukraine. And with them, they took a contract, and the contract states, if you want free passage, a job, and a home, come to work in a coal mine in Cape Breton. A lot of immigrants had no trade, no education. Sounds like a wonderful idea. So they packed up their families to come to work in a coal mine in Cape Breton. But in that contract you signed coming over states, in order for you to live in that coal company house that we're going to rent to you for $90 a year rent, there has to be one male member of the household in the mines at all times. If the senior member was not at work in the morning, the following, for whatever reason, the following morning there'd be on the Mrs. doorstep by a coal company official telling her, if there's not a male member of this household in the mine in the morning, you and your children will be evicted. They live by that rule and they enforce that rule. I'm going to stop here for 1 second. I want you to realize, I've been here 16 years. Anything I tell you here is fact. Find it in the museum. I don't BS, and I'm not talking about brown sugar either. I'm waiting down the shit a little bit, but anything I get that, as horrifying as it sounds, it actually happened. Also in that contract, I told you about the tracker boards. So when the immigrants come over here, they found out that the people they're working for owns what is called the coal company store. Everything that miner needed to heat, feed, water, taxes, tools, church, whatever it was, could only be purchased through the company store, which was docked off his pay at the end of the week. Coal miners had large families. If you had a large family at the end of the week, when you got your paycheck, there was never, ever any money in the envelope. Just an IOU telling you how much you owe the company store. I come from a family of 12. I went to school with kids 21 in a family. Birth control was non-existent back in those days, so miners had large families and they had a lot of bills to pay. But when those immigrants came here and found out that every miner was given a brass tag with a number onto it. It's called his check number. All he had to do was walk into that store, show the clerk that tag, and he could walk into that store with anything they wanted. But they're going to pay for it in the end. And when those immigrants come over here, walked into that store and saw what they could buy with that tag, well, within 2 weeks, they were so far in debt, they would never get it. And this is what the coal company wanted. You got no trades, you got no education, you got a family, what are you going to do? You're going to work in a coal mine. This is how they treated the immigrants for many, many years. Now, they didn't get rich, but they eked out a fair living until 1924, when a new coal company was formed called Vesco, who had a new president who demanded more coal for less money. He wanted a 30% reduction in the miners' wages. They said, absolutely not. We can barely live on what we're making now. And in 1924, there was 12,000 coal miners, 10 coal mines. The economy in Eastern Canada was right here in Cape Breton. And when those miners went out on strike, the economy in Eastern Canada came to a complete standstill. Miners had nobody to back them up in the strike. They were into this by themselves. And this strike was long, lengthy, and dirty. It lasted over years. I haven't got time to go through it all. I'll take out the extras. So within 1 month, when the miners refused to go back to work, the coal company went to the provincial government and said, listen guys, we're not making money, you're not making money. We need help. We got to get these miners back to work. Our provincial government sent in 500 mounted police on horseback, strike breakers, ex-convicts, goons that were taken into jail, sworn in as police officers, came riding into town drunk on their horses, beating up miners and kids with their billy bags, raiding union halls, busting store windows, trying to imitate them, scare the miners to go back to work. But the miners said, no, we're not going back to work. As I said, this went quite long, 1930. This dropped another 3 months. The coal company said, fine, if you don't want to go to work, now you will get no more credit at the company store. Now the miner couldn't feed his kids. He couldn't buy clothes to keep them warm. He couldn't buy coal to heat his homes. Things are escalating, going downhill quite quickly, but the miner refused to go back to work. So the miners started gathering in groups. The coal company became scared that they were going to try to take over the mines and destroy the machinery. So this time they went to the federal government. Said, listen guys, these guys are ready to tear the town of Glace Bay apart. We need help. Our federal government, I repeat, our federal government sent in 1,000 troops by train. And when those troops arrived here in Glace Bay, they set up a machine gun on the steps of the Immaculate Conception Church in Bridgeport, 3 miles from here, with the authorization from the priest. The priest denied he ever said it, but he said the miners should be at work feeding their kids. The other machine guns were set up at the mine heads to mow the miners down if they tried taking over mines. Miners were not fools. They weren't taking on the police, they weren't taking on the soldiers, but they refused to go back to work. So the coal company had one more card to play. In the town of Waterford, 11 miles from here, they owned a power plant that supplied power and the water to the hospital and to the town. On June 11th, at 7 o'clock in the morning, they cut off the power and the water to the hospital and to the town. The mayor begged with them, please, there's a lot of people suffering, turn it back on. They said no, not until the miners go back to work. That afternoon, 800 miners and their wives started marching down the main street in Waterford screaming, enough is enough. They were going to march up through the woods to the power plant to restore the power and the water to the hospital themselves. 1,000 miners from Glace Bay heard of this. They started marching towards New Waterford to support them, but they were turned around by the machine gun on the steps of the Immaculate Conception Church. They were told, you cross this line, we will shoot you. They had to turn back. So these men and women, 800 by themselves, marched up through the woods to the power plant, and they didn't get very far. Drunken horsemen came charging out of the woods with guns and rifles, shooting into the crowd. 3 miners were shot. John William Davis, the father of 10, was shot through the heart, and he died instantly. When that happened, these men and women with their bare hands pulled these cops down off the horses, beat them, stripped them. Some got away into the woods, were arrested for the jail. Then they marched up to the power plant, where they did restore the power and the water to the hospital and to the town. And after that, they went to the coal company store. And when they got to the coal company store, they robbed them. And after they robbed them, they burnt them down. Every night in a different town, in a different store. It is said, I got no proof on this one, but it took months later on for a fellow to find a left shoe that could fit the white shoe that he stole. They were just in a rage. Finally, somebody in Ottawa woke up and said, boys, we got a labor problem in Cape Breton. So they sent negotiators in to try to get the miners back to work. The miners did go back to work with a 15% reduction. They had to feed their families, had to look after their kids. This ugly incident happened on June 11th, 1925, and we made a promise. There will never be another pound of coal mine here in Cape Breton in honor of Mr. Davis. And even though we don't have any coal mines left, still every year on June 11th, we put a few hours aside to celebrate Davis Day, and we will continue to do that as long as there's mining areas in our town. End of story. She was a rough ride. Now guys, I worked with over 3,000 coal miners in my lifetime. A lot of my friends, neighbors, and relatives. You can't remember everybody's name, but the most popular name in the coal mine, you'd never guess what it is. You hear it every day. Buddy. Easy one to remember, right? I've been in the mine for 19 years. And I'll still walk down the main street of Glace Bay, and I'll see someone walking towards me who I know, but I forgot his name. That's happening quite a lot, Peter. So as I get closer, the alphabet don't work anymore. How you doing, buddy? You'll say, not bad, buddy. He forgot my name, too. It's you, the person. We use it all the time. So I'm considering these all buddies today. If I talk to you, and ask you, or tell you something, it's buddy, buddy, buddy. Ask all the questions that you want. If I don't have the answer, I don't know where in the hell you're going to find it. I'm going to answer one question now. Are we going out under the ocean? The answer is no. The law requires that we have about 400 feet between us and the ocean floor. We do not have it. But you're able to the water. We're walking down along the cliffs under the edge of the beach. You are not missing nothing. You gotta believe me. The only difference in the coal mine, well, the further you go in, your breathing stays the same, air pressure stays the same. The only thing that's different, it gets a heck of a lot warmer. Why? Because you're getting closer to hell. That's not in any book anyway. Okay, we're going to start a journey down. I've just had a conversation with this young man over there, and I asked him would he be my tracker boy today, because mine didn't show up. He's 13, just a perfect age. What's your name?
Yeah.
Buddy.
Told you I was going to test you, didn't I? Okay, everybody got a hard hat on? At any time, if you feel you can't continue, please let me know. I can have someone come down to assist you out with minutes, you're not no more than 5 or 7 minutes away from the surface anyway. Okay, let me go first and then follow me, please. Tell him what your number is, he'll look for it, he'll take it and pass it back to you. You put it back in your pocket for the next day. If for some reason you had to evacuate the mine immediately, within 1/2 hour the manager will be here asking this gentleman, is there any brass tags left on the board? Yes sir, there's 3. Give me their numbers. And by looking at their numbers, they know exactly where to start looking for these men right away. It cuts down a lot of rescue work. And by the way, if you don't give this man your tag, you don't get paid. Very important. Here. Oh, this is one
On va bien faire. On l'expliquait dans ça aussi. Tu peux faire des quelqu'un qui sont venus, peut-être.
Now when I told you there's a rake box on the other side of the door, this white one here is of no essence at all. But this is the one that you would get into on the level road and go 6.5 miles out in front of the ocean. Once that came to a stop, you're getting out and you're going to transfer over onto this one here. This is the 21 boxes. The last box has a steel cable rope attached to it, 1.25 inch in diameter. The only person in charge of this rake box, we call him a chain runner. He sits up front and he got his light on. He's watching the road all the way down to make sure there's nothing on the road that's going to knock this off the road and injure the men. The engineer is in the hut, 500 feet back. And how the chain runner communicates with him, all through the mine, we call it a clothesline. It's a rope that hangs from the ceiling, very thin rope. When he pulls on that rope, this is what the engineer hears. Stop. Down. Up. Very safe and effective way of communicating. Now the engineer also has a big indicator in front of him with a dial on it. As that rope is coming off the spool, that needle is moving very slowly. He knows where this is at all times. And on that indicator, there's 5 marks where he has to stop. When he comes to one of those marks, he'll slow this down, put the brakes on, where the personnel got to get off to go to their place of work. Chain runner looks around, everybody's safe, you give the bell a ring, away you go again. Now this goes down at quite a foot, well not fast as a car, but when you're in the tunnel, it's pretty fast, okay? His last stop is 5 minutes away, so he got his lunch can to open, he's having a sandwich. Chain runner sees something on the road, he's got to stop this right away. He pulls on that cord. The engineer's not expecting this. Now he's got to put that brake on as hard as he can. If any of you think for 1 minute that steel cable rope won't stretch, you are wrong. You will slingshot up and down the beat, 100 to 120 feet at a time, back and forth, and you're screaming your head off, not because you're enjoying it. You're terrified that rope is going to break. Because if that rope breaks, this does not have brakes. You go right to the very bottom. In the town of Sydney Mines in 1939, there was 146 men on this when the rope broke shortly after it left the surface. 21 miners were killed, 47 were seriously injured. In my 30 years, if I detest anything but coal mine, and was riding this, I am not a roller coaster fan. Now I'm going to put my light on this here to show you 1 second. I know you're all not going to see it, but there's 240 men on this red box right now. That's a lot of strain on that rope. So you can imagine, when you stop that in a hurry, you are going to slingshot up and down that deep. Be very fearful, I'll tell you that. They tell you, if it goes on the run, you think it's going on the run, sometimes the drum will be next to a coil of rope over, and it'll take that little surge. That's when your heart drops. They tell you, do not jump. Because if you jump, there's a good chance you're going to bounce off the walls and go back under the rake. Twice I defied that rope, and twice I survived. I haven't got time to get into it, but I'm telling you, it's a split-second decision that you will make. Okay, buddy, take over. You're not at a loss for words, are you? No, I'm not. Come on over here with me. Right there, stop there. Now, I'm going to take you up the same way he took you down. There's nothing going to happen to you at all. I just want to explain the story to you. In that simulator, can you tell me what they used for lights back in those days?
They use mainly fire to use it.
That's close enough. A candle.
Yeah, candle.
Carbide lamp.
Carbine lamp.
Open flame.
Open flame.
In the coal mine with methane gas.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right, does it?
No.
So, 1900s, they had no lights. This is your first day in the coal mine. I'm going to tell you what you saw. Let's switch on the wall there, please. Still interested?
Literally looks something out of a horror movie. Looks like something out of a horror movie.
Well, what's gonna happen if you don't go there?
You will not get paid and not get fired.
No, what's gonna happen to your family?
They will be evicted from their house.
Want to change your mind now?
You go down there and hope that you won't die.
There you go. Got a minor, he's going anyway. Now guys, I do this to every young man. Switch on, please. But I got the answer that wasn't expected 2 weeks ago. I had a 10-year-old boy. I done the same thing with him. I asked him, you gonna go down? 3 times he wouldn't answer me. So I had to raise my voice a little. Buddy, are you going down? He looked at me, he said, please don't ask me again. And then he done the most famous thing, I won't forget. He walked over me, took his hat off, gave it to me, he said, buddy, no way in hell. Mother was up at the back screaming at him to go down, okay? No, I'll tell you, that was precious, I won't forget that. Okay guys, we're gonna start now. Watch your footing going down. Everybody got a hard hat on? If your hard hat falls off at any time, please do not take another step until you pick it up and put it back on. Watch your heads a little bit lower from here on in. I'm going to put my light on this wall. This is the coal seam in this mine right here. It starts right here. As you can see, this is nothing but coal. This coal seam is 52 inches high. The height of your coal seam dictates the height of your mine. In Cape Breton, we got 7 different coal seams. For every 400 feet you go down, you will encounter another coal seam. Our smallest one is 36 inches high, and our biggest one is 11 feet. If this coal seam is 11 feet high, this roof would be 11 feet high. 8 feet, 8 feet. The miners only got paid for taking the coal. They don't get paid for taking the stone up here or the stone down here just to make it easy to walk. As you know, we walk down it deep. Coal seams are formed on an angle. And that's why coal mines are so deep. You keep chasing it, and chasing it. And you could probably go down 3 miles here if you kept going. But the further you go down, the heavier your roof gets. It comes to a point when you can't support your roof anymore, that is the end of your coal mine. In the early days, you wouldn't see none of these sleepers here. This is a museum, this is here for your protection. What the miners used back in those days is right here. Spruce trees that were cut in the woods behind your home. This took us down quite a way. And when they started failing, we went to steel booms. That took us up much further. And then after that, we went to steel hydraulic jacks, which we used out under the ocean. Each one jack could support 640 tons. We felt very, very safe out under the water. But guess what? In 1999, that came to an end. Coal ocean was pushing so much pressure down on the coal seam that you couldn't remove that coal safely anymore. We were having rock gophers. It would shoot out at you, injuring miners and killing some. That was the end of our coal mine. There's still 640 million tons of coal out there under the ocean. We know where it is, we know how to get there, but you can't mine it safely anymore. And these mines are run by the federal government. And in 2000, fossil fuels became a dirty word. Coal is a fossil fuel. They wanted nothing to do with it, so they closed all our coal mines down. That's how it all came to an end here in Cape Breton. 30 years, I'm telling you, I gotta explain this to you guys. The camaraderie among coal miners, there's not enough adjectives to describe how well we looked after one another. Constantly had each other's back. If one got hurt, we all got hurt. So it was one big family. I enjoyed it, I really did. We had 2 rules. One is you leave your personal problems on the surface. You don't take them into the mine with you. And the second one was very important. What's said in the mine stays in the mine. That's why there's a lot of miners still married today. I'll guarantee you that. But guys, I tell you the truth. I worked in mines where rats are absolutely huge. Why? Because rats don't have predators in the coal mines. The last thing a miner did was kill a rat unless he had to. And there's some reasons why you have to. Because If you can't get rid of him, if you can't dispose of him, he is going to rot and stink. And that smell will creamy all through the mine, so that's why you don't kill a rat in a mine unless you can get rid of them. And then again, the rats were very beneficial because they kept the mines exceptionally clean. Anytime you had that last piece of food that was dirty, you didn't want to eat it, you threw it onto the ground. Within minutes, it was gone. It's just that they would fight over it. They're cannibalistic. And it was the noise that irritated the miners. In my 30 years, I never heard of anyone being bitten or attacked by a rat. Heard stories, but I didn't believe them. The tools that the miners back in the 1900s was pick and shovel, powder and caps. You would drill a hole in here, and then you put powder and caps in there, which is equivalent to dynamite. You set that charge off, this large block of coal here is going to come flying out here onto the ground. You're going to load it into the box, send it on display. And then you're going to do this over and over and over again until you're in there 24 feet. And once you're in there 24 feet, you're going to go 12 feet that way. Once you take all of the coal out of there, what you got left is a big empty void. That void is now called a room. So you take out your chalk and you mark off 30 feet. You do not touch that coal. That coal is called a pillar. You cannot take all of the coal out of the coal mine. You need something to support the roof. So you cut a room and leave a pillar. Cut a room and leave a pillar. Very safe, effective way of mining until you start cheating. And what I mean by cheating is the pillar coal is the easiest coal to take. You start stealing the pillar's coal. Instead of 30 feet, your next one is 25. You're down to 20. And you begin to wonder, why is the roof falling in on us and killing us? Because you're stealing the pillar's coal. Miners risked like they did back in those days to support their family, and it cost them. Now, I know there's one question on your mind, and I'm going to answer it now. Where does a miner go when a miner has to go underground? Don't tell me you're not thinking about it. I'll tell you, but please don't tell me what a 16-year-old girl told me last year, because I'm still traumatized. Oh yeah, it's a bad one. She said, we were told that you'd lose your hats. No. Absolutely not. You might get my buddies, but you're not getting mine. And nobody's going to call me a shithead, you know. Down there, it's an old working. All the coal has been removed. If a miner had to go, really had to go, you go right down there to the very bottom, make a turn, you bring the shovel with you. You bury it, and that's the end of the story. We had to be as respectful as we could among other miners. I've never known a miner to drop his pants and shit in front of anyone that lived to talk about it. It just didn't happen, guys. Any questions? That's the fourth subject, but you want to know liberty. Other than that pain gas and black lung and everything, next first thing could happen to you in a coal mine is to lose your light. I'm going to show you how quick the darkness can swallow you up. This young man over here, run over here with him. Okay? First of all, you trust me?
Well, not really.
They're not going to work. Now listen, trust me. Honestly, I told you, nothing's going to hurt you. There's nothing to be afraid of. I just want to show them something. I'm going to shine my light up there, and I want you to walk up there, and when I tell you to stop, you just stop.
You're gonna turn off the light.
Wait, hold on. Okay, you know, just go ahead and butt your head.
I have a feeling I know what's gonna happen.
No, just sit there. Keep going. Stop. What's your name?
What?
What's your name?
Buddy.
Goodbye.
I don't.
He can see us.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh,
Oh.
I wouldn't send him up there in the dark like that, no.
Oh.
But that's how quick the darkness can swallow you up. And when that happens, okay, buddy, come on out. I told you it was, well, it's not gonna hurt you. When that happens, you come out here, you grab the rib, you hang there until somebody comes along with a light. To try to navigate the mine in the dark is suicide. Or, you could crawl on your hands and knees out there through that door, but if you do that, there's a good chance you're gonna put your hand on a rat and he's gonna bite you. So go back to plane A. Okay, let's keep going. Watch your head again. Now the miners that worked in this section of the mine made more money than most other miners because they got the use of a radial cutting machine. It's operated by compressed air, but unfortunately it's not working, and I'm glad. Because if I was to start that up and make that much noise, you would run out that level screaming. When he starts the machine up, there'll be 3 steel picks protruding from the head of it. And that machine just goes in and out, in and out, in and out, until he's in there 8 feet and 12 feet across. Now, he's cutting coal. He's removing coal. And what happens when you remove coal? What do you find?
Methane.
Right. And how do you find it? Well, what do you do when you find it? That's a good one. You will eventually. The canary, miner's best friend. While he's cutting coal, his buddy's going to hold the bird up to the roof because that's where methane gas goes. It's lighter than air. He's watching him. The bird is calm. Everything is all right. But the bird is fidgety, bouncing around in the cage. That is an indication methane gas is present. He tapped his buddy on his shoulder, say, "Stop. We have gas." We have a thing in the mines called flume, very, very thin plastic. We will cut that airway down in half, forcing most of the air coming up there to come in here and sweep out the gas and take it out to level. 20 minutes later, we put the canary back up, and the canary calmed down. He would say, "Continue mining." If you put the canary up and the canary fell over, get the hell out as quick as you can. Now like the horse, the canary got to go home with the miner every day. This is the only thing that the miners got free from the coal company. For the obvious reason is the coal company didn't want their mines to blow up. And they know the canaries would prevent that. And the miners were very, very happy to get them. They saved a lot of miners' lives. Now with that said and done, we would take this drill down, put it in a safe place. I'm going to take up another drill, hold it against my throat. I'm going to drill 3 holes up there, and I'm going to put powder and caps in there, which is equivalent to dynamite. I'm going to wire them all together. There's going to be cable laying on the floor there 200 feet long. I'm going to stretch that cable out as far as I can where I'm going to be safe. I'm going to touch 2 wires to a battery. There's going to be one hell of a big bang. This large block of coal behind me is going to come flying out here onto the ground and create one huge pile. 15 to 20 minutes later, after the dust and smoke has settled, the miners will return. The first thing they must do is put up new roof supports to support the roof where the coal used to be. Never, ever, ever go under any roof that's not supported. They could fall on you and kill you at any time. Then they call for the old boys with the ponies and boxes, and they'll start loading the coal with these little pan shovels right here. That's what they use in the day to load the coal into box. Each box of 2,000 pounds, which is equivalent to 1 ton. Once the coal is loaded and sent on its way, they will set it up and they will do it all over again. Every miner has an identification tag. It's called a tally sheet. We tie this on the back of the box and you make sure that is tied on tight. Because a lot of times the manager said this coal did not come to the surface. They stole the miner's coal. It was common. So what the miners did, were right turn out the lights before we come down. They left one man behind at the start of every shift with a pencil and paper. He recorded every box of coal that came out of the mine. Even though the miners had to pay those checkers out of their own pockets, at least they got coal paid for the coal that they produced. Now I don't like saying this, but it's true. The rule of the day at that time was no coal, no money. If you got no coal, you got no money. There's other miners down here working, but they're not getting any coal. Horse could be sick. There could be 1,001 reasons why he can't get coal. No coal, no money. My coal can be sitting out there in the dark for 3 hours. Someone could sneak out there in the dark, take my tag off, throw it away, put his tag on it. He stole my coal. When that happens, when we find out who done it, his and his family are blackballed, kicked off the property immediately. It's like the old days, buddy. If you steal a man's horse, they hung you back then. But you don't steal another man's coal. That was a real forbidden thing to do.
Did that happen often at all? I would think it would.
Not often, no. But if you put you got 8 kids, if you got no coal, you got no money.
Yeah.
Your mind is going to race to know what you're going to do, how you're going to feed them. I'm not condoning it, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it has happened, yes. Yeah, not often, but it's happened. There's a golden rule, that's all.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is we're going out through that door. I'm going first. On the other side of that door, there's a garden where we're going to have a seat. There's not going to be enough room for all of us to get up on the benches, but we got some red ones down on the side, but they're a little damp to sit on. I'm sure you won't mind it. They ease your back. The bad news is, this is where the roof drops down to 42 inches. You didn't forget that, did you? When I go through that door, you're going to hear me say, "Welcome to my world." That's the first mine I worked in, 42 inches high, and I worked there for 3 years. I used to be 6'3". Now you know. Now guys, this used to be a real garden, but unfortunately the weather has stopped us this year. They are artificial flowers. We had a German immigrant in 1929, his name was William Krauss. He asked the manager of one bee colliery if he could put a garden in, 900 feet underground. The manager mocked him, smirked at him, laughed at him, said, yes, at your own time and at your own expense. Well, Mr. Krauss took out seed and soil in his lunch can, and he grew that garden. He was the horseman of the fertilizer. I saw that garden in 1982. Some of the flowers were 2 feet high. Unfortunately, we don't have any mines left. That one went on fire too. You know what's sad is a lot of people want to come into town here. They want to know, show them an old coal mine, where an old coal mine was. No. 2001, when the last mine was closed, the government gave quarters. It's $1 million to demolish all existing coal mines and remediate the land into parks. They didn't want kids fighting at the old mine working, so that's why you don't see nothing around there. Company houses, oh yeah, we all time for them. And by the way, when we go up, they got the company houses open over there now. You can walk through a company store in the company house. It's all included in your tour. There's a guy over there, he's very good. He'll give you a tour for both. So, not for it. I'm not at a loss for words. I'm just trying to get myself back together here. Okay. It's illegal to enter the mine. Up until 1999 was the last year I went without this strap to the side of your belt. It's called a self-rescue. If you encounter smoke, which would be carbon monoxide, you flip that lid up, and under that lid is a note card and the note piece you insert both immediately. In the bottom of that can is charcoal. Charcoal turns carbon monoxide into carbon dioxide. This will give you 30 minutes to fight fresh air. If you're in a hurry, if you're panicking, the more you delete that charcoal, the hotter that gas is going to get. You spit it out, and down you go. Out under the ocean, we have what's called, well, if you were 6 miles out under the ocean, excuse the language, but that's not where the pinch of coon shoot. You're not going far with that. We have out there what we call Oxy 60s. If you're told to evacuate the mine, you would pick one of them up, it hangs around your neck, and it lays on your chest. Not uncomfortable. It's too cumbersome to work with it on, so you only picked it up when you need it. That is good for 6 hours. Man, 6 hours. Lots of time, right? But what if you were told to evacuate the mine on account of a fire? Well, before you know it, these tunnels are going to fill up with smoke. Now you've got a worse problem. You can breathe, but you can't see. How are you going to get out? Well, that's up to your supervisor. He's usually a dragoman. He's trained in that. You form a human chain. You take one step at a time. One step at a time. And you walk out. You will get out. Do not break that chain. If you do, there's a good chance you're not going to hook up with the rest of your buddies again. You won't find them. A lot of men will cry. We're not going home. We're not going to see our families again. It's not uncommon. Nothing to be ashamed to be afraid of. But other men will step up, take off. Come on, guys. We can do this. Pull them all together. We're buddies. You get out. It's happened. It's scary. I know. First 5 days in the coal mine, guys, I thought I was going to die. Sure as the hell. Look at this. My first day in a coal mine, this is the one, that same height just as this was, 42 inches. The supervisor walked me into the mine. We got halfway down, he said, wait here for me, I'll be back. Well, he left me there, he said, don't move. He's not damn right I won't move. I don't know where I'm at. And the only reason I worked in that mine, guys, is because I had a girlfriend. She wanted to find her things in life, she wanted to go to A&W and those fancy places, right? So I married her. And this was in 1967. I forgot to tell you that when I opened up. This mine opened in 1967. This museum was opened in 1967. I got married in 1967. And that's the last season that Charlie won the Stanley Cup. Now I got that stick around my hat. If I can get that off any way at all, because I just owned them now. I'm just tired of it. Oh, can't take much more of this. No.
Don't work well.
Oh yeah. Anyway, this guy left me alone. An hour and a half later, he's not coming back. I'm getting kind of worried now. I don't know what to do. I hear voices. I look in. I see a bunch of lights coming towards me. But they're screaming at me. They were hollering to me to get my light out of their eyes. I couldn't understand why at the time, but they were riding conveyor belts. And there's only certain places where it was safe for them to jump off, so they had to see where it was. So I put my weight down and they jumped off and they started running behind me. Buddy, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I said, my boss left me, he told me to be coming back. Buddy, he's not coming back, he forgot with you. Come on, get on the belt with us. No. They say, how many people have died at the first day on the job? I don't want to be one of them, buddy. No. If you don't come, you won't be here by yourself. Well, my mind was going to mile an hour. I didn't know what to do. So I watched how they were doing it. Finally, I got up to go. I was the last fellow. I told him, I can't get off the belt. I'll go into the silo. Don't worry, we'll pull you off the belt. So I listened to them, and I jumped onto the belt. I went flat face down like this as they were doing, my head buried into the belt. This noise was getting louder and louder and louder. The next thing I know, I was airborne. This belt transferred onto another one. I left that belt and went flying through the air down onto another one. 19 years old, and I screamed for my mother at the top of my lungs. By the time I got to the top, 3 guys on this side waiting to pull me off the belt, and 3 guys on this side. It was a tug of war trying to get me off. I got off. But the story is, first day in the coal mine, a rookie, not even 3 hours, I couldn't have been killed. That's stupid. Well, fear takes over at certain times, right? But that's coal mining, guys. Now, I could tell you 3D stories. Even though the camaraderie among coal miners was beneficial, what we didn't do to help one another at times, but we were the coolest people at the face of the earth. Some of the things we done to one another to get a laugh, well, I'm going with one. It doesn't sound pleasant, but it is true. I'm a mechanic. I got to wear a tool bag with me at all the time. Tool bag is heavy. And I got to lock it up before I leave. If not, someone's going to steal my tools. Because I didn't pay for them, everybody else wants them. So I had to hide it. Someone was saying, come on, get in the rake, Eric, or Lake, let's go. I said, I'll be there in a minute. I'm looking for a place to try to hide my tool bag. I look in the corner, I see a nice dry spot over there. It's coal dust. Now, when you're mining coal, you know what's like the headlights in the fog, you really can't see them. But on the coal mine, you pull your light up in the air, you will see billions and billions and billions tons, little sparkles of coal dust hanging in the air. Eventually that coal dust falls down on the ground and it accumulates after a while. And if you don't look after that coal dust, and I mean you're supposed to suppress it with rock. It's called stone dust, crushed rock. You spread it out over the coal dust. If there's an explosion, there's a good chance it will. That explosion will kick all that coal dust up in the air, and now you've got gunpowder. So when that goes up, that's what happened to West Ray Mine. It blow the top right off your mine. So that's supposed to be contained at all times. But this spot over here, it was quite deep. So I got down and I started digging with my hands. No problem at all. I got down this deep, threw my tool bag in there, covered it all over. Stood back, looks good to me. Went back the next day again. Somebody was watching me. I peeked out of my coal bag and the shit on me. And I went there and shit on it. And I got there the next day and I started digging it. Halfway down I went, holy shit, no way. Just the God's truth, guys. And the guy who done it wasn't hard to tell because he's the guy in the back of the crowd going. Everybody else knew what he did because they were laughing with him. He was dirty, I gotta admit, they got me. I'm not the first fellow that happened to. But this guy came in with a new coat on a couple of months later, bragging to everybody, showing the nice coat he had. You gotta hang your coat outside before you go into where it's warm. I being a mechanic, had a knife in my bag. And while he was gone, I cut both arms off it to pay back at the bitch buddy. You can't let anybody get away with that. Okay guys, be careful coming out of there, please.